Hey, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this was a continuation class for the yesterday thing. Yesterday we have seen how to mount ADLS Gen2 storage account to read the necessary data in a Databricks. So now yesterday actually we have seen only up to a mount thing, but after that like how to read the data that we are going to see that. Normally in organizations we may need to read like CSV files, .txt files and .xls files. So various formats files will be there, .parquet files will be there. So I would like to read all those particular files. So, but actually today I just started the cluster also. When I'm just trying to run this particular cell, it is running this command and it will throw you one particular warning message kind of a things. It's stating that it's already mounted. So you no need to mount again and again whenever you open your notepad. Once if it is mounted, it will mount forever. You no need to remount these things at all. But actually, if you would like to unmount this, in my yesterday's video in the descriptions, I have given you a link to copy the source code for mounting. So just below that itself, in the same link, actually, you have an unmount also. Just by searching this an unmount, you'll get this to unmount what is the code actually. So you just copy these particular things whenever you don't want to use this particular storage account again. So in that particular cases, you can unmount it. So to add a cell, insert a new cell over here. You just click over here. And then what is the thing I would like to unmount is this particular container. So that particular container, I would like to unmount it. Now, if I just go and run this particular cell, we can see that this has got unmounted of this. Now, Spark job, it is running it. You can expand this and what are the number of jobs available inside that you can do. So it's a true. That means it has been successfully unmounted. So my speraredata mount ADLS Gen2 has been unmounted successfully. Now again, if I would like to remount this particular things on all, so you can just go this, you can click on this run cell. So automatically it is running the command of all the Spark jobs, and now you see it's a true. Now it has been mounted successfully. Whenever you want to unmount it, you can unmount it successfully. Okay, but always I preferable go with a hash in front of this because I don't want to run this particular unmount all the times, because when I'm trying to run this particular cells, all the cells, it will mount and then it will immediately unmount it. So whatever the other options operations that we are going to do, it will get disturbed on this. So now I'll just go add a new cell to this. Now I would like to read the data. So for reading a data, I would like to call this particular data into a data frame. So the data frame name, I'm just giving it as a speraredata, that I'm calling it as an SD. So SD is equal to spark.read. Which format I would like to read, that is CSV I would like to read. I have some files in this. So just before getting into this, I'll take you to the storage account also to see what are all the files available in this. So .csv, in this, I would like to mount this. So this is what is my mount location, right? So I can just copy this. This is my mount name onto the container. That means to that particular storage account, to that particular container, it will take you to that. Inside that, whatever the file it is there, that particular file name that we can give it, that particular file name we can give. I'm just going with a slash over here, and that particular file name I want. So to go for this particular file name, I'm just going over here to my home page and click on my storage accounts. And in the storage accounts, if you go to speraredata and go to data lake storage, inside this is mount ADLS Gen2 that we have. So this is where we have one XLS file and CSV file and .txt files we have. So now I would like to read this particular file name. So you can just copy this particular file name like this. You can copy this particular file name like this. If you are not comfortable with this, like this kind of a copy, you can right click on this and go to the properties over here. So that gives you an URL also. Whenever you want to share with the other developers to access the files inside that particular container, you can give this particular URL also. So you can just copy this URL. So that URL, it looks like this. It looks something like this. Now I would like to read only this particular CSV file. So I can copy this and I can paste it over here. I will delete this one. This is just for my reference only. So I'll just put it. I'll just add it as a comment on this. Now I'll try to read. I will try to read this particular thing. So for sure, I'm going to end up with an error. Okay. So it is saying that you are not authorized to perform this particular operations. That means you didn't have this particular user didn't have a sufficient amount of authorization to read this particular data. So how to check that particular authorizations or how to assign those particular authorizations? So go back here to your space and go to storage. In the storage accounts that where we have already. In the storage accounts, you have an option called as an access control IAM. So click on this IAM and you have to click on this add a role assignment, and you have to assign this particular role assignment as storage blob data contributor, and I would like to assign this particular things to my application services that which I have created it, app registrations. Yesterday in the service principles we have created, that is called, we call it as an app registration. So you have to select that particular app registration and save this. Okay, now it's adding a role assignment. So role assignment, it has been added successfully. Now if I go back here and if I run it also, again I'm going to end up with the same error only. And again I'm going to end up with the same error. So whenever you have this particular errors and all, after assigning the roles also, you always try to go to the cluster and restart your clusters and all. So the clusters are very important for your Databricks. There are different types of clusters. Actually, what is a cluster? And the types of clusters are like all-purpose clusters are there, job clusters are there, pools are there. So in our coming sessions, we will be discussing about all these things in detail. How this cluster helps us to solve, to read our code, everything. We are going to discuss it in detail. So now let's wait for the cluster to start. So when the cluster it is starting, it is trying to collect all the necessary hardware infrastructure needed to run this particular code. The instances, the node instances, it will copy it. While creating the cluster, we can see that now the cluster it has started. Now I try to rerun the same thing. I'm not changing anything in the code. Now I try to rerun the same thing. Now see this, it's waiting to run. So it's running command, it is happening over here. Now my Spark job, it is reading it. Now it has been read all the data. Now if I would like to show all this particular data, you just click on this. You can type it as display. What I would like to display is SD. This is this particular SD I would like to display. Now click this one. So if I just see this one, this is what the table that I have it. So all the table data, it has been read successfully on this. Now if you just see this one, it is just showing it as like C0, C1, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, 5, 6, 7, like this. But it is showing up all these particular column numbers and all. If I don't want to read these particular column numbers, if I don't want these particular column numbers, then you just make this as your command, like a reference for you, and just copy this again. So just paste it here. So instead of like .csv, right, you just eliminate the .csv and you can put it as .option, and you can go here. It is like header, and then you have to write this as a true. then dot CSV file I would like to load. Now see this one. Now when I just try to run this particular cases, now when I'm trying to run this particular case, now see this C1, C2, all the column numbers it is not showing. It is simply showing it as like a table here, all this things. But when I just go like, I would like to show up this, what are the data types of all these things that is available, all these things. But when I just go for this, it's a, yeah, if you just expand this particular things, here it is showing this. It's a table is a string value. Here is the string value actually it is showing. But here actually here it is a number. Okay, RSC, estimate it is showing it as a string, but actually what I want it is to be an integer. It is to be an integer. So all are to be an integers I wanted, but all here it is showing it as a string. So now we will see that how we are going to change one particular column that is like an year, how we are going to change that into a integer values and all. So for that we just need to develop a code for that. We need to write a code. So to write that particular code, before getting into this, there are like plenty of syntaxes available over the Google also. Even Stack Overflow also, we have a plenty of data available. So I have filtered out my best possible way of filtering out this particular things is like with column option. I have created as like a with column options. So now I'm just copying this particular code with column option. So now just go here and put this. So for the time being, I'll delete this display also. Now I'm calling all these particular cells because I would like to change the format also, right? So I'm just calling into a new data frame called as an SPD1 is equal to my initial data is nothing but SD. So SD dot with column. The name that I would like to change is like an year. So you can type it as an year. And this is again SD. My initial data frame is SD, right? So I would like to type this as an SD. And again, inside this, it is a year dot cast integer type it is. Okay. So now I would like to display this SPD1. I would like to display SPD1 actually. So what was the error? Integer type is not defined. Okay. So here actually integer type it is not defined. So for that I would like to import the module that which remember this particular integer type. So I'm just going to call this particular thing from pyspark.sql.types.import. So I'm just going here. I'll just try to import all modules from pyspark.sql.types to run my information. Now I would like to run this. Now see my Spark job, it is run successfully. Now, if you just see this particular things actually, this is an SD it is showing. This is an SPD1 actually. So SPD1 speraredata1 actually before it is only SD, that is speraredata. Okay. So now I would like to see the data types of it. So for seeing the data types, again, we have a syntax like you can just copy this particular syntax. All the syntaxes are available over the internet also. You can just simply copy it and paste here for your better easy purpose. Now print, this is a Python code. I would like to print. What I would like to print is in my data frame of an SPD1, what are the data types that I would like to print? So now go and run this particular cell. Now after this, now see this one, SPD1. This is where actually here it is showing this. Now the year becomes an integer. But before, if you see this, year is like a string actually. So similarly, if I would like to call this particular thing, I would like to change one more column also. You can add in the same things, or like you can able to call this like this. So similarly, you just paste this. Now instead of estimate, it is there, right? So estimate, I'll just copy this estimate. Now I can change this year to estimate, and I can change. This is my column name. I'm just changing. What I'm changing here is just a column name. I would like to make it as an integer thing. But actually before here, this is not an SD of this. because already data is already stored in SPD1. So I would like to call that SPD1 over here. Okay. So, but in the name, it is a like old name. It is available in that particular SD only with an SPD with column name that I would like to run this particular. Now see this. Now I'm just running this. Now after running this, now see this estimate also become an integer, and estimate here it is initially it is a string. So like this you can able to read all the informations that whenever you want. This is very important because in the unstructured data that we are going to get, there are some integers where it is going to call it as a strings or some other types, data types that we just need to modify it. So this is what I have for the day, guys. So hope you enjoyed it, and tomorrow we are going to discuss some other topics. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel for having a continuous browse on this Azure information. Thank you guys. Have a good day.